Hello, everybody. We are here today with Remy. How are you doing today, Remy?
Hey, I'm doing good.
That's great. Thanks for taking some time here out of your Sunday
Of
to speak
course.
with us.
Yep. Of course, I'm happy to talk to you.
Yeah. So just kind of get kicking us off the standard question about how long have you been yo-yoing for?
So I've been yo-yoing 9 years, like coming up on 10 in December. So yeah.
That seems to be like really kind of a popular range. I think the majority of like just people I've talked to, like high level competitors, the sweet spot seems to be somewhere between like six to 10 years, like 6 years on the low side, and then obviously you can go however many years you want, right? As long as you got the stamina for it. But um,
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like there's kind of a new like era of competitors that all kind of started like in the same ish zone, not all at once, but like yeah, around there for sure.
Yes. I do wonder if the pandemic kind of changed the trajectory, right, of the specifically of like the contest scene because I think some people got out of it and then some people got kind of got back in it, right? Like some people who maybe if it wasn't for the pandemic might have competed like, let's say 2020 and then just kind of, hung up the string, so to speak. But
Yeah.
with the pandemic, maybe they either like missed it or, you know, as many of us did have a lot of extra time to yo-yo and just like, you know what, no, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, totally. I feel like the pandemic is one of the most interesting dynamics in competitive yo-yoing because some people totally slowed down and some people like just went absolutely crazy with it and put more time than they ever did into it. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. So what was nationals like for you? Because I mean, I really enjoy seeing your performance. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I know it's gonna be good. I know it's gonna be cool to see. But I didn't really know what to expect. I don't think a lot of people, kind of knew the amount of heat you were gonna bring. Um, were how were you feeling like heading into nationals versus towards the end of it and final results?
Yeah, nationals was like really weird for me because I was not intending on going at all. I knew I'm gonna go to Worlds 100%. And I was like, I'm just gonna save my money and like just go to Worlds and that will be it. And then like a week before, or like a week and a half before, I was like, damn, I really want to go to nationals. Like I really want to compete. And um, I was just like, kind of like, you know what, I'll go for it. And I posted on my Instagram, like, I'm looking for like, I don't know if anyone wants to fly me out or whatever, like I'll do whatever. And um Sean Perez from Duncan and Beyond Yo-Yos was like, all right, sure, how much is your flight? And I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm going to nationals. And so it's like a weird thing where there was kind of not much pressure on me, but at the same time I was like entirely focused on competing. Um, so I don't know. It turned out really well for me, but I it definitely was unexpected and very last minute. So yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool to see, and I'm very excited, for you and all the contestants and everything for Worlds. Like Worlds is going to be crazy. Honestly, there's a lot more people going to Worlds than I thought were going to go to Worlds, and
yeah,
I wonder if again, like because of the pandemic, so many contests got canceled. Right, even this year's schedule for the United States National Yo-Yo League, it was kind of more like play it by ear than in most years. So I wonder if a
yeah,
lot of people were just like, hey, you know what? I know for sure I'm definitely, I have to have a passport. I have to make sure I get my ticket, and I have, you really have to. You're doing international travel, obviously.
yeah,
So I wonder if a lot more people were like, hey, I want to do it because I want to go to something. Then Worlds came up, and obviously Worlds was like a really, really great turnout. Um, a lot of good stuff.
yeah.
So
I
I mean,
think
sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say like I think Worlds is interesting because a lot of people also just really want to go to Japan and it's like a destination and also people really idolize the 2015 Worlds and like I feel like a lot of people think that was one of the best Worlds ever. So it's like it's a big Worlds to come back to as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Japan It's just a very cool location. I mean, I feel like whether if you're there for the culture, whether you're there for the food, whether you're there to like meet some of your favorite players in person, whether you're there just for um you know the confluence of people coming. You have obviously the local people from Japan, which I mean, Japan is pretty huge, so it's still a large distance for people to travel, but it's
Yeah,
going to be absolutely amazing, I think.
yeah, for sure.
So can you tell me uh, just a little bit about um, the ways that you've seen the yo-yo community change, like over the last, 4 or 5 years, like even before the
Mm.
pandemic?
Yeah, um, I think like there has been kind of like I guess the most obvious thing to me is just like from when I started, and even like going up until like I feel like 2016ish, it was all like yo-yo videos were huge, and I feel like there was more of like slightly more of like a forum scene or like online scene, and then it like all switched to Instagram, and then in the past, you know, 3 years, like this whole TikTok thing and reels and all that. Like that's the most obvious thing for me. Um, but also I mean, just in the past few years, like going from having contests all the time that I would go to into the pandemic and not having contests and like my only interactions with yo-yoing being online, and I think that's true for a lot of people, of course. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, especially about like the videos and the forum scene, because
yeah,
I mean, at a time, right? Like if you want to make a cool yo-yo video, you or like a friend, had to have a nice camera, or like usually somebody would like borrow somebody's camera, and you guys,
yeah,
would meet up and like, record something cool. But now most people's, smartphones are more than capable, more than good enough to handle that. So,
hmm,
we have people, they do, trick circle or do like a dump of their phone and like post a bunch of stuff. But instead of them saving up, 6 or 10 weeks, right? Because I mean, it would be cool edits coming out, but one person might drop maybe two a year, right? Or maybe one a year, but you just
yeah,
had a lot of people who were doing that. So it was still something like every couple of weeks, it was still something kind of look forward to.
yeah,
Um,
totally,
and Instagram isn't really, so I love Instagram. I'm not
yeah,
purchasing Instagram, but like
totally,
Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok aren't really spaces designed to have like long form communication. It's very much like keep you in the platform, and it's enjoyable. It's great seeing so much interesting yo-yo content and seeing it in a lot of spaces, but it kind of makes it harder for the communication side of it for sure.
yeah. I also wonder like Um, I mean, I wasn't super around for like the real forum days, and I know we actually talked about this at Nats a little bit. Um, but like the idea of watching a video and like having a forum thread with it and like people discussing the tricks and stuff, I feel like that culture also really is like less so, like much less so here, which is a big change.
Yeah, I mean, even like when I think about like the empathy video, which
Mm,
I'll put
yeah,
the link to that in the description in case people haven't seen it. But the empathy video that just dropped was a couple days ago or at the beginning of the week.
yeah,
That video was like absolutely amazing. Like the
dude,
the cinematography, it was like it belonged on any cable network, right? Um,
for real, yeah,
and I think every probably pretty much everybody for 3 days like had that on their stories, like, hey, oh my god, I just saw this, or hey, you gotta watch this. But even with that, like something that will in the future be something everybody keeps going back to, like for years and years and years and years. Like you said, that whole like having that be in a forum thread, because before it would only be in a forum, right? So you naturally would go there, you would look at it, and it'd be a spot where like the old like Infinite Illusions message board, which theirs was
hmm,
kind of set up like Reddit before Reddit existed.
yeah,
Uh, but it was so huge, and the same thing, you would go there, you would see that there, everybody would kind of comment, everybody would be able to more easily share the moment versus right now, like, cool, you see the video, it's great, you post it in your stories, like that's awesome, but I don't think for most of us, many people respond to our stories. You may have like
yeah,
four or five people,
yeah, for sure.
you know Um, but something I wanted to ask you about. I feel like I've seen something about you having a yo-yo of your own.
Indeed, yeah. So I've been working on, well, it's gone through a lot of stages. So originally, this yo-yo that I've been working on was with SF back in like 2020. I would say it started, and
Okay.
like early 2020 or late 2019. Um, and so basically, when I joined SF, uh, part of like the agreement with me joining was that the owner of SF was gonna like teach me how to CAD, and we were gonna make a yo-yo together, and like he was basically gonna like help me release this yo-yo, kind of as a collaboration, but like also a signature. And pandemic happened, SF kind of like, you know, life happened, like it is what it is. Um, but I did learn how to CAD, and we did make one proto together, and I kind of like kept going with that. I made like three more protos after that on my own, and I finally am at like a place where I was happy with the yo-yo, and I've produced it, and actually I'm getting the final run tomorrow, like
Woo-hoo.
in my
Like now, when you say
hands.
you're getting it, you mean like as in like the box is like on the way to your house,
The
like right
box
now?
is up. Yep, yep, exactly. With an ungodly amount of yo-yos, and I'm excited. So I'm
Yeah, and
gonna start.
we'll post depending on when this video goes up. We'll post a link to is it going to be on your site or is it going to be on retailers or
It's gonna be on both, but on my site first. I need to like announce everything. I have a video all primed up actually, and
right.
I'm gonna be starting a small brand. It's gonna be called Dis Yo-Yos. It's like independent, little, just me at the moment, and yeah, I'm really excited to do all that.
Right.
So
So thankfully it'll be the future by the time this video comes out.
it's
So
true. It's true.
we'll post the links, like all the cool stuff that Remy comes up with. We'll post the links for that in the description of this video. And then for those of you who don't know, like CAD is like computer designing a yo-yo, a 3D model,
Mm.
and also too, right, the prototyping process. Usually, right, first you come up with the design. You're like, all right, I like it. You kind of check the boxes, like, hey, make sure my axle is right, make sure my pad area is right, make sure my bearing seat is right. Then you work with a factory or a machine shop. They confirm the specs, confirm the metals, all those great things. Then you get back the prototype anywhere between 3 and usually 10 weeks, depending on the shop.
Yep.
Uh, you get it back. Sometimes is what you ordered. Sometimes is not quite what you ordered. You go back and forth a little more. Um, it's a process. So for those of you who don't know, like coming out with like 2 or 3 revisions of a prototype definitely takes time. It also costs a lot of money because uh, you don't. I mean, the machine shop isn't doing you any favors, and it costs them time. So they want to be compensated for that. And realistically, until the yo-yo physically, releases, then you just kind of out that time and that investment. So it definitely, I think, it speaks to the love that you have for the design, Remy. That you're not, um, just going like, oh, yep, cool, that's it. I'm going to
Yeah.
send it out into the world. I think all of us, or some of us, right, may have played a yo-yo, and you thought like it's good, right? Like a meal, but it doesn't have the right amount of salt on it. Like this is
It's almost
close.
there. It's almost there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
definitely important to get that kind of seasoning there. So again, as you think about the community, can you kind of tell us one thing that you wish was different about the community and you hope one day will be?
That's a tough question. I'm gonna go with uh I would like to see more events, like in-person events involving yo-yoing that aren't competitions, but get as much love from the community or more. Like I'd really like to see, like people releasing videos in person and having events around that, or like, just big meetups or conventions or something that isn't competitions. I'd like to see that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense as well. you know, way not dating myself, but like way back in the backpack, we used to have in my area. I'm from Michigan, so like Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, all kind of bump up against each other. So within like 4.5 hours drive, you could be at like the edge of any of those states. And so there was a large scene in Indiana, a large scene in Michigan, and some stuff in Ohio. So there was a lot of those kind of meets where it just be like, yep, the third Sunday of the month, we're all going to meet up at this park, and it'd be like 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it would be a gathering, and they would say it was a contest, but it wasn't any prizes, there wasn't any medals. It was just like, okay, cool, you won. And like the competition part would be like 10 minutes of it. We would
Yeah.
all hang out like for 6 hours, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a contest. Like, nobody know. I'm sure whoever won probably remembers, but I've been to a
Yeah.
bunch of them, and I couldn't tell you who won. And the average skill level, it was exciting to watch because you were there and it was your friends. But if like you were to watch, you would not watch it online. Like, I'm glad back then we didn't have those videos like uploaded, because you'd be like, that what that's
Yeah,
um
for sure.
yeah, it makes a big difference. So before we break, is there anything that you want to say to just newer players who might be watching this video?
Um, keep with it. Try to find people to yo-yo with. I mean, personally, like obviously, I've been doing it for almost 10 years, so I think it's pretty fun and interesting hobby. And like, I think I don't know, you keep looking in the yo-yo community because there's a lot of cool people and a lot of cool videos, cool stuff to watch. Like, it's it's pretty great once you get into it. So yeah, stick with it. It's kind of corny, but
No, I think that's good advice, because it's very easy to hit a plateau, because I mean it is difficult, right? Because like after you get
oh, for
past like
sure.
the first part of, I mean, people don't really use the trick ladder anymore, but after you kind of get past your first like 4 months, I feel like the difficulty level really spikes, and then it
Yeah,
levels out, and then it like really spikes, and then if you decide as a competitor you want to be like one of the top 30 people in the world, it's
it's
I mean,
tough. Yeah,
it's really tough. And those, anybody who looks, you see in a competition is literally, sometimes it's 1 point, like 1 to 5 points, can mean you're in like the first, or the fifth, or maybe the top 12 people get in and you're like number 13. Like, well, you're still one of the 50 greatest yo-yo players right now today in the world, but at the time it doesn't feel great, but you really are. And then at the same time, um, and I know this is, something that has come up in the community. It's very hard for a contest to judge style versus clicks. That it's difficult. It is a
yeah,
very it's very slippery slope. And I mean, you see it in sports as well, especially boxing. Where
yeah,
people will just a result will come out and people will like argue it, because it's very subjective. Like, what the judges see, the angle they see it at. But obviously that's like that's
yeah. It's the
definitely a
whole
whole
thing.
discussion. Yeah.
No, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so yeah, really appreciate you, taking the time to talk with us, and excited to kind of see what that new yo-yo looks like, and
thank you.
maybe we could do this again after Worlds.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
All right, peace.